people who are standing in the riot in Egypt, you know, and that's news, and that's journalism. It's changing rapidly, it's changing right now, it's different tomorrow, it's different next week, it's for sure different in 6 months. My top advice to you, learn as much as you can at school. Definitely all the things you've been hearing, intern, get out there, talk to people, but stay flexible. It's changing, my job has changed enormously. The industry has changed enormously. You know, I won't bore you with all the details of how, but trust me, 100%. And you just, no, I'm sorry, I'm talking so much, but I'm really passionate about this. People need information, they need journalism. You know, support journalism. Please, please, please support the New York Times or any newspaper, Wall Street Journal, any newspaper you like, because they're paying journalists, you know, to go to war-torn countries and report the news, and it takes money. If you don't want to just get your news from Syria, from people who are there, you know, we have to buy the product too. But it's just 100% not a dying field. It's changing. You have to be super digital. We've gone incredibly digital. I mean, when Team Vogue started, there was just a little tiny website that basically sold subscriptions. Now it's a full-fledged thing of its own. It's not just a rehash of information out of our magazine. It's its own original content. And the social media component, I'm pointing at Drew, but you know, there's a reason she's here. This is news. This is engagement. This is how people are getting news now. It's really important that you in your future realize, you know, you may not be working on a print magazine or on a print newspaper, but you can definitely work in journalism that will continue to exist. And people still love magazines. We're fortunate that we work in a fashion magazine because fashion magazines have fared the best through both the economic downturn and the rise of digital. It was like a tsunami of things that happened all sort of at the same time. You know, around 2008, 2009, we had an economic crash and people becoming incredibly digital. But fashion magazines, I think people still really enjoy looking at them printed because it's driven by photography, it's very visual, and I think the consumer has spoken, at least we see that in our company, they still would rather look at our magazine printed on paper as an object than on a tablet. And that may change, and we have to be adaptable, we can't be rigid, we have to be flexible and move with the consumer. There's so much power in the hands of the consumer now to say, I don't want that, I want this, which is a huge change also from how it used to be when everything was delivered in one way and consumers had no choice really. But don't despair and stay on your toes, stay flexible, stay on top of everything, and you can have a career in journalism. It just may look different in 5 years, or certainly in 20 years, you're certainly going to be working, you know. It may look very different from what you expect, and I think that's okay. Sorry, I talked so long.
I think that there seems to be such an oversaturation of information and media out there that it kind of adds a little bit more pressure to like you wanting to go into this industry and to all of us even on this stage of trying to like up our game and make things special and to make it worth buying basically at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you were going into journalism 15 years ago, you have to be a really good writer and produce the story and do your work. But now there's kind of that added fire, I think, to try to really stand out and push yourself and bring something to the table that no one else can, and for you personally and to the publication you're working for. And
it's a good point, because otherwise the consumer just moves
Yeah.
on and says, I don't really need this. We talk about that a lot at Team Vogue, how can we make it really compelling, and like, I need this, I can't miss this magazine, because otherwise people will just take a pass.
Like, I mean, even 6 years ago when I started the front of book pages, we would do lots of red carpet coverage and lots of things that, you know, by the time it would show up on your doorstep, it'd be sort of older, but that's just the way it used to be. Now you can get anything from like the night before. So you have to kind of think outside the box as far as making something.
It's about access for us. We
Yeah.
always are emphasizing what's our special access so that, you know, you can find out everything that's happening in beauty, everything that's happening in celebrity, everything happening in red carpet. The fashion shows, which Gloria and I used to be only a small group of select insiders who go to Paris and see the shows. Now you can see them live stream. So what are you offering? It's really changed journalism and made it much more challenging. And I think Andrew summed it up really well. You have to find ways to bring something new and fresh and different to curate all that information, because do people want to go on Vogue.com and watch 8 million fashion shows? Only the most hardcore. So how can we curate it like I mentioned, journalism is Twitter, where people on the front lines of an accident are reporting, but it's also young people like you're going to see at the end of the day, like, it could be like Leandra Medine at Man Repellent. That's journalism, and they're just doing it themselves. They don't have to wait to see if there's a company that's going to hire them and are people still buying the New York Times. They just go out and make their own journalism, which you guys are lucky because you're in that generation. You understand the technology, you know how to use it, and you can be your own journalist in your own business, if you're clever enough to figure out a business that people will want to look at.
I just want to add one last thing. I mean, the amount of information that is out there right now is overbearing, and a lot of it is not quality information. The way it's presented, the way it's so take it upon yourself, especially since you're starting, to do something with pride and to really give quality and to kind of present it in such a way that it's serious. And I think you're going to turn the tide somehow. You and your generation will really turn the tide and give information to people in sort of a quality way. So I think it's really important.
I would add two things. One is, in my opinion, the fittest will survive. I think a unique point of view and great content will always win. Will always win. People will always want information, and if you're providing them something that is very intriguing and interesting and just different, you will always build it and they will come. And it's just focus on what you're building. So the second point is, I think, you have to reach your reader in a 360-degree manner. So you have to be on Twitter, you have to be on Instagram, you have to be on the internet, you have to be on YouTube, you have to be in print. For us, we think about our brand from a 360-degree point of view. And I think, so the information will always be there. It's just how you guys receive it will be different. So the job is changing the sense that you have to be well-rounded. So while you're in college right now, you're in high school right now, this is the perfect time to practice on all of these sort of playgrounds and all these different platforms. Because by the time, in the next 5 years or so, I think every content provider will be on all of these platforms. So you have to think of yourself and your content as a brand, as a sort of well-rounded brand.
That is so well said. Excellent advice. We have 5 more minutes, and that was such a good question.